All right, I hit that. So
all right, we are live on my end.
Okay, cool. That's all I got to hear. Do you want to touch on what we were talking about there, or just get?
I don't know if we really want. I guess just the Xfinity wise, you're saying that hey, things are looking kind of good for you, and I would say that not to rain on your parade, but we only saw 10-lap runs, so none of that is real. And once we get green runs, we're going to see A, good cars move forward and the crap cars slide back, and B, there's plenty of wrecks and carnage. I won't be surprised to see Josh Berry wreck. I won't be surprised to see Brandon Jones wreck. I won't be surprised to see even more bad luck happen to Jeb Burton. I think he's probably in a worse spot now, probably because he's angry and he's going to be more aggressive. He's already too aggressive. That's his downfall. Talked about that earlier this week. And now NASCAR gives him a kind of a new made-up penalty. So now he's going to be more aggressive. Jeb Burton, he's not going to finish this race. And when the guy's like, all right, don't worry, Jeb, let's just go out there. We're going to win this. We need Jeb to go for top fives. If he's trying to win all or nothing, that kind of pressure is not going to work out. Sorry.
I mainly meant it as Harrison's already done everything I've projected for. So he could not lead anything else, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
As long as he gets a solid finish, which I think he should get. Yeah, Harrison's fine.
So I'm very happy with how even
he also benefited from AJ having that issue early on. AJ looked like he had the best car. AJ was passing people, and his car broke. So what are you gonna do? That's what happens.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's get into the Cup Series. We'll talk about that a little bit since we really can't do anything about Xfinity there. Usually, whenever I look at stuff, I like looking at things in the grid order. But for this, I think we do need to look at salaries and go down by that because there's a lot of cases to be made for a lot of people. And I got to really focus on talking in absolutes in the show versus saying, "Oh, I like this guy too. I like this guy." So I'm going to try and work on that for everybody else.
Well, I want to caution against that because when we start getting down there, I mean, it's fine. You can do the absolutes, and I'll probably try to hedge and balance it out by not being as we've got to play this guy because you go through previous Martinsville races and you look at who gets the most fast laps and laps led. Maybe after the fact, oh, well, of course, but just about every race beforehand, it's very hard to predict the 2, 3, 4 guys that are going to lead and run fast laps. You might have a good idea of 1 or 2, but I mean, we could go through these previous races and say, yeah, did you see that guy coming? Did you see that guy coming? We look at last fall was fine. Elliott, you say, well, yeah, Chase Elliott's good here. Well, he was not good in the spring race, though. So, yeah, you could have leaned on that, but that wasn't a sure thing. Blaney's been good at this track the last couple of years. I guess I give you credit there. Truex would have been fine, but some of these guys are surprises, and I mean, I don't know. So maybe we'll see if we can go absolutes. We'll see what happens.
Well, I wanted to.
We can do absolutes on Martin Truex. Yeah, plain. Is that a pretty safe one? I don't need to hedge there. If there's one guy I feel the most comfortable with, it would be Truex. But at the same time, the entire field probably feels really comfortable rostering Martin Truex. And if you want to be different, that would be let's just turn this on its head. Give me the argument against Martin Truex outside of ownership.
Well, I need to say, so I have ownership right now to Logano, Hamlin, Blaney, Elliott, Truex, Harvick, Keselowski, all the main guys. So that's why I got to focus on absolutes because otherwise I'm just saying play everybody, make a lot of lineups, play everybody, so you cover a lot of bases.
Yeah, we should try to make this as helpful as possible.
Yeah. So
first being, and this is not really helpful, but why wouldn't you play Truex? And maybe it is, but sometimes you approach it from a different angle and you can get some better ideas. What don't you like about Truex?
So the Truex constructions seem to be very chalky. If everybody's agreeing that Truex is going to be a favorite to lead laps, one, he's very expensive. And depending on who you go with, you're in the Corey LaJoie, you're in the Anthony Alfredo, or you're punting with BJ McLeod. And that's a situation to where I don't mind doing that if I'm one of the only idiots doing that. If everybody's down this road of these punts, I feel like if Truex really does kill in this race, there's a chance that the lineup is going to be very chalky. That is optimal.
Let's see. What was how many points has he scored over the last X amount of Martinsville? 72, 112, 235, a 42, a 105. I'm not really worried about this. Would have been the first. This was that race where Brad Keselowski and the high downforce package, just no one could do anything. The data checks out or check out. Yeah. But so outside of DFS, can you make an argument against Truex? based on racing.
There's really not a lot of things to.
Is he the most favorite? What's his odds at Vegas? I'm assuming that Vegas has him as number one.
He's got to be the favorite.
I don't look at it very often, but I mean, can you find anything to argue against him?
No, I can't find anything. I mean, even like,
say you want to play like, oh, what if the race is going to be tomorrow afternoon? Which I would bet anything we're going to race tomorrow, like 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like if you're, it's going to change, yeah, but the actual temperature is going to be pretty much the same. You'll have some more daylight, but they're going to race tomorrow. I'm probably getting too deep in the weeds there. I don't think it's going to be that significant. Anyway, the race is going to finish under the nighttime. If you look at adjusting setups on the fly, you look at the previous race at Phoenix where he's been terrible forever at Phoenix. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the race, James Small gets the perfect setup at Phoenix and he destroys people. So like if they're just slightly off, which I don't even think they will be with their setup, I would imagine that they'll be able to quickly make the adjustments to get the car back to the top. Even though they really couldn't make any adjustments at Atlanta, they completely missed the setup at Atlanta, and there was no adjustments they could make to fix it. That might worry you some, but that's the same thing. Though, what if they miss the setup? Well, that's everybody. Mm-hmm. If we had to look at who's the odds of more likely to miss the setup, he's going to be the lowest. Someone else like Harvick is more likely to miss the setup because he misses the setup every week now. But Truex would be, most likely to get it right.
So I've been looking at the flat tracks that they ran last year and really looking at Phoenix because all the data that pointed towards people who were fast last year and the people who should have been fast at Phoenix were those people that were fast at Phoenix. Truex, obviously he didn't arrive off the car fast, but they knew the adjustment to make that if the car wasn't fast, they knew what to do. I would argue that
this is the exact place.
Yeah, this is the exact same thing, especially because it's a flat track. Oh no, I left my water. That sucks. Especially because it's a flat track. I would think that if he's not, on par in the first stage, I'm sure he's going to be fast, like towards the end of the race.
Yeah, there's 500 laps. There's plenty of caution. Now, you're not going to have a lot of chances to take big swings, but if you're in the ballpark, which I would imagine they're going to be, and he'll be fine. So I just can't make an argument against Truex other than you get the DFS range of ownership and then him forcing you to play some of these guys that you may not like. That's fine. That's the only argument I could see. All right. Where do you want to go next? Are we looking at just going through price?
Yeah, let's talk about Larson. So what do you think of Larson? Was that big no for you?
Yeah. I mean, I can understand. You could probably convince me, oh, well, Hendrick's always good at this track. Chad Canals is setting these cars up. I imagine they're going to share notebooks. He probably struggled at Martinsville because he was racing some pretty crap CGR equipment. But that's still, I think it's just a little, like, let's say he improves. Let's say he goes from being, which is, I would say, average at best at Martinsville to above average. Well, he's still, it's not like Truex is just going to start sucking. It's not like, oh, Larson's going to get better. Okay, maybe I should dial it back. They're all getting better. So if he improves, they're all getting better. They're all building notebooks. So he's too many steps behind for me. I think it's just a pricing error. If he was priced correctly for Martinsville, as opposed to, running well every week and being very popular every week, then yeah, but this is like, I don't see how you can afford it.
So I went into the week thinking the same thing, and I've ended up on a lot of Kyle Larson, close to 35%. So
wow. Okay, here we go. Tell me why.
So one, the optimizer and the way I was creating lineups, like it wasn't difficult to get to Larson. Looking at Phoenix, like obviously he started from the back, and Phoenix and Martinsville are not that comparable. But looking at how fast
he had success at Phoenix before, though.
Yes, but he had by far the fastest car at Phoenix all day. And if we're making the same arguments towards Truex and stuff, why can't we make that with Larson? And
did he have the fastest car at Phoenix?
He had the fastest car at Phoenix. Come on, man.
I don't know. We never got to see him race against the best cars. Sure, he was good passing guys in 10th place. That's what he's supposed to do. And he did work his way to the front. But we never really got to see him dice it up inside the top 5. Maybe someone out there got the speed and look at the lap data to see if he was absolutely the fastest. I know he was really fast at Phoenix. He drove through the field a couple times because of those penalties. I don't know if Truex was pretty fast at Phoenix too, though. And so back to my point of, Larson's good, but no one else is just rolling over for Larson. And then we saw last week that no one's rolling over for Larson. Blaney beat Larson. At the end, he was probably a little bit faster. Now, there's a little bit of or 2 weeks ago, some shenanigans and chicanery going on with Joey Logano intentionally slowing down, and then once Larson gets on his bumper, then blocking him with tires that he had saved. So go back and watch that for yourself, folks. But I think this one's just a little too galaxy brain for me. You're leaning on Phoenix, which I think is a bit of a stretch. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't raced well at Martinsville, and he said publicly multiple times that he does not like this track. He's just not used to it. I don't know. I won't completely.
I like him a lot with Truex, actually. The Truex.
How do you afford them? You got.
I really like. I'm happy. I have a couple lines of those, and I really like. Not even. I'm telling you.
You got Ross Chat. Please don't tell me you got Chase.
TJ McLeod is in play this week. I'm just saying. He. I mean. We'll get there.
BJ McLeod has never this is the first time he is sub 500. He's starting 36th. Watch him somehow manage to lose points.
Right.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time on that just yet. Let's skip on down to Chase Elliott. What are your thoughts on Elliott?
I like Elliott a lot. So Elliott, Truex, and Logano are my 3 favorite guys entering this race. And if I'm building like a 3 dominator lineup, I want to try and fit in Elliott into most of them.
So what race was it he broke down? I think it was that fall race. I thought he was looking pretty good in that one a couple years ago too. He was pretty dominant here. Probably an illegal car. Would you go as far to say that?
Was that last year? What? I mean, he had that car. He had the whole pit road thing.
Pit road.
I mean, last year's play. Like, and I feel crazy for saying this, but like, can I
like Chase Elliott. I'm not a Chase Elliott hater, but boy, they seem to have parted the Red Sea for him to make sure that he got into the playoffs. And then the next week, that car was illegal again.
Yeah. Is this even useful? Like, I mean, it's all the data that we have to go off of.
So when he goes to the back today for having an illegal car again, are you going to get off of Chase Elliott?
I'm just going to be more on Kyle Larson then.
Yeah. Give me the Hendrick car that didn't get caught. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Chase Elliott, the track history, are you worried about his slow start to the season, or is his slow start more of just he's had some bad luck and the races just haven't gone his way? What happened at Atlanta? I'm trying to think. He got up to the front at Atlanta, and his car blew up. Mm-hmm. He's had really bad luck everywhere.
Yeah, he's having bad luck. He's arriving fast. I mean, I have him projected for around 60 laps led and 50 fast laps, and that's
something I saw had him as one of like the fastest cars this season on green flag runs. So. He should be fine. He is such a streaky driver. When he gets hot, watch out. And when he gets cold, man, he cannot get away from the bad luck. I guess he finished. I don't even remember Bristol, to be honest with you. I could care less about Bristol. But, yeah, Chase Elliott checks out, too. Who do you have more, Truex or Elliott?
Let me look real quick.
I would say the public would probably have more Truex just because they're going to look at track history. And I understand that track history isn't the end-all be-all, but this is a specific track where I do value track history a lot more. If you're good at Martinsville, if you've been able to nail the setup at Martinsville, it's pretty significant. It's a unique racetrack with a unique rhythm to it.
Let's see. I'll probably end up with around 40% Truex. I haven't finished all the lineups. Right now I'm sitting on 63 Truex, 13 Chase Elliott, but I know that's going to decrease for Truex and increase for Elliott as I continue.
Yeah, that seems pretty smart. Do you think that sounds like about what the public probably is going to be on Truex? Maybe a little bit higher. I don't know what the ownership was yesterday, but
so I was actually going to bring that up because the ownership was really interesting yesterday, and I think it might be telling of what might happen today. So let me get that up if you want to talk about someone else.
Well, while you do that, I'll just go ahead and I put bold some of these guys that I think are going to be some really interesting plays that I don't even know. They might be way too popular now that I think about it, but they seem like pretty good guys that are going to slide into just about any lineup with your hog, which I think you probably only need 2. I mean, actually, we could see 3 or 4, but I went through the trends, and typically the ultimate lineup's only having 2 guys that really crush the field. So these guys in black pretty much fit in pretty well. And I highlighted some of the guys I really am not comfortable with, like Cole Custer, not comfortable with, Chase Briscoe, not comfortable with. I'm not really comfortable with a lot of them, but they're the least satisfying. And Alfredo, I should probably make LaJoy is going to be insanely popular. Alfredo, I think that's pretty much where it's going to go. All right, you got the ownership stuff?
I sent it to you in the private chat. I don't know if you want to just look at it or bring it up, but we've noticed two things about ownership this year is that one, ownership has been really spread out.
You put it on the screen?
Across. Yeah, you can put it on the screen.
Okay.
So this is the ownership for yesterday. And
Barry doesn't surprise me. Burton doesn't surprise me. Allmendinger doesn't surprise me. Elliott doesn't surprise me. Like what's Chip Burton's about right. I'm kind of surprised that people chase Brandon Jones. But if that's the case, that people are, I just got to get the place difference because I can't guess a hog, which is typically, like we've talked about that plenty of times before. That guy sitting in front of the computer like, I don't know who's going to lead laps, damn it. It's hard. I need practice. And so people say, just give me the place differential and shut up. So that means, if I can just put this up on the screen then, the public is going to go to these guys in the black, which I talked about.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see Eric Almirola be one of the highest drivers.
Yeah, and he did exactly what you needed him to do last year in an even weaker spot at the same price. It's just how many times can Eric Almirola get it? I think he'll be fine in this race. But if the public is going to go here, and I would imagine if the public goes here, they're going to take two hogs. Are you following me so far?
Yep.
So then it behooves me to say, all right, I will let the public do this, and I'm going to go 3 to 4 up here. That might be stupid. and the public may be absolutely right to go the smart route and the safe route. But it's GP, so you can take your safety plan, and I think I'm going to go up here and try to burn my picks here and see where that leaves me. All right, going back to your numbers, you were saying.
What was I saying?
Well, you were talking about like what the trends that you're noticing.
Oh, yes. So we're seeing that even here, ownership is really spread out evenly against, potential lap leaders. And I'm talking about Cup Series and even this race specifically. Like, yeah, Burton, I think Burton came in all right. AJ Allmendinger didn't get played as much as people liked him. Same thing with
just, be higher.
Yeah, same
He's
thing
expensive
with
though.
I thought Allgaier would be higher owned than AJ.
I thought AJ would be higher than Justin Allgaier. People love track history. Love it. And in Martinsville is a place to fall in love with it. But I understand it being spread out a little bit too, because it's hard. I mean, we're guessing. We're guessing who's going to lead laps. We're guessing who's going to run fast laps. We don't have practice data. We're looking at data from a race a year ago. We're looking at data from a Phoenix race where half of the track's an intermediate track and the other half is a flat track, but it's a very wide sweeping flat track, not a tight paperclip shot, So it is very hard to guess, and people don't like that feeling, especially when you have money on the line. And so you spread the ownership out. And so probably see some ownership spread out today amongst Truex, Elliott. So it's kind of the antithesis of what you want to do, which is have some, absolutes. The field's not going to have absolutes. The field's going to like all these guys that I've kind of circled right here, right? Keselowski, Truex, Elliott, Blaney, Hamlin, Logano. We probably will even see some Harvick ownership and some Kyle Busch maybe sprinkled in there as well. Does that seem to make sense to you?
Who do you think is the highest owned for the Cup Series?
Truex.
I think it's
people
Eric
love track history.
Truex, Joey Logano. I think those would be the 3 highest.
Eric Allen. Oh, well. No, I think it's going to be Truex. Yeah. Okay. You're probably right.
Because if people are really playing place differential and they're making 2 dominator lineups, then we're going to see more ownership than I expected of people like Kurt Busch, DiBenedetto, Christopher Bell.
Right. That's Neely. That's Barry. That's Burton to a lesser extent. Brandon Jones, Parsons, Moffitt at 25%. Now, I know people are like, Rookie's in second place. You're right. But again, going back to what I said at the beginning, that running order, that's a Potomkin Village. It's a facade. It's not real. Once they start running green, and people are going to cycle to where they need to be. Right now, we're just seeing people, you pit last cycle. Okay, so you get to be first. Well, then the next pit stop, people are just going to leapfrog over you. It's that there's like cautions.
Yeah, this will be
there won't be that many cautions in this race. There won't be that many breaks. They're going to go out there and turn laps, especially if this thing's on Sunday. They're going to want to get out of there, and it's going to go green. And some guys' race is going to be over before, into stage one. You're going to be able to mark some people off. Unfortunately, that could be a Corey LaJoy and an Anthony Alfredo, who are just never going to get back on the lead lap.
So the last thing I want to bring away from the ownership yesterday was that, and we kind of joked about this because we didn't believe it, but Parsons at 27%, that's people not wanting to leave money on the table. And that
it's two things. Yeah, that's one. It's other thing. Like, there are some very popular websites that people just go to and jam in. So the people that are listening to me and you probably aren't entering. There's a couple that are entering 150 lineups, but if you're entering 150 lineups, you just go pull someone from a big site and you slam it into Fantasy Crunch. These guys don't watch NASCAR at all. There's a lot of those guys, and so that influences a ton of this ownership, right? When you've got, I don't know, let's say 20 big time fantasy people, they don't even care about NASCAR. They just have a subscription. They grab the stuff and they punch it in. That heavily influences this stuff. And when you have the smaller fields in the Xfinity series, I think that's where you get a lot of this stuff. It's mainly directly on one provider pushing a lot of whales that then show this. This is not really the public, I would say. Like I mean, I don't have any data to back that up. Maybe people in the chat would know, but how much do you think this is actually the public as opposed to big time mass entry players?
It seemed like the public more, because the lineups that played him weren't groups of 150 lineups. It was more people playing 5 or 3.
Did you go through any of the 150 guys and see what was their ownership?
I didn't go through that much, but the people
that's what you have to look at. The other thing I would point out though is the thing was sitting at with a couple hours left, only 5,000 people were entered in that tournament. I don't know. Was there overlay? If there wasn't overlay, then guess what happened? A bunch of whales just grabbed some lineup providers' information and jammed it in. That's exactly, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah, probably. I know I was max entered already on the 20, on the 3 and the 1, and I wasn't home, but I saw that it didn't fill up.
It didn't fill, yeah. So the only way they got even close was people saw overlay alert, and that's where, imagine their Discords and whatever Slack chats like, oh, it's going to be overlay. Go give me the thing and throw it into Fantasy Cruncher, and then boom, which is fine. That's the way it works. I don't know how much these numbers are, but I mean, I don't want to overanalyze it too much. But I think the biggest takeaway is what you already mentioned, which is the public's going to chase place differential. If you want to be different, don't chase so much place differential. And you're right. Eric Almirola will be the highest owned because Eric Almirola will fit in your Truex lineup. And then when you build your non-Truex lineup, that's you're probably going to play Eric Almirola in that one too.
Yeah. So, and I mean, look, when we're looking at how many Dominator points we got 125 laps led, 225 fast laps. If you just get all those, you don't even need place differential at all. You're going to outscore place differential flat out.
So on average, what is there? I mean, you get one driver it's crazy. You have one driver who's almost 100 points averaged. And then your second is 60 and your third is 40. And if these guys don't wreck or have an issue, they all hit the optimal lap. Now, unfortunately, what we've seen is one of these guys has an issue. But yeah, if you get 3 guys and they all get north of 40 Hulk points, you probably won the GPP. Now, you need your other 3 not to lay a complete egg, but if they finish the race, they're going to be value, right? So you're very unlucky. The only case I think that you could have for getting a cheap attack point of a Hulk points would be William Byron. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But aside from William Byron, the only way you get exposure to these 3 is you got to spend up. And that's kind of contrarian because as I went through the other day looking at past optimal lineups, and typically is only the top 2. And then it's a balanced place differential. So based on the trends, based on the way the grid's set up, the public is right to build the way that they're going to build. So it's stupid, but it's really easy to differentiate by saying, all right, I'm going to take these 3 guys and they're all going to be basically spinned up options. So then I'm not going to get much out of my next 3. I just need them to finish the race. I think that's probably the way I've talked myself into building, which, I kind of like that. Or are you going to stay with two-place differential? That's probably where we focus some time right now is lineup construction. Do you like 3 of these big dogs, or are you going to go with 2 and the place differentials?
I like 3 because...
And you're going to try to squeeze in a couple of
them. I'm going to try and... Yeah, I'm going to do that. And if I make it... if you make 2, if you pick 2 lap leaders, you need to hit them, straight up. I can't build lineups being like, okay, this guy needs to lead this mount and then wreck out, or this guy needs to lead a lot and then have a bad time. Like I can't make lineups like that. So if I'm throwing darts out there, I need 3 guys that I think are going to lead laps in every lineup.
Yeah, and even if you miss with one of those, he's more than likely going to have a good, and he probably are not going to get optimal, but you will end up in cash. Like, say you spend up on Chase Elliott. He doesn't win the race, but he gets like 10 hog points, gets a top 5 finish. That's fine. He's not efficient. You're not going to win the optimal lineup, but you're still going to cash as long as everybody else goes. But you also have the chance when you spend those 3 of like nailing the other 2. And those other 2, if you nail them, they're going to pull you way up. And so although Elliott might be a little bit of an anchor, it's not going to be anything in comparison to, oh, well, you used your 2 picks and you nailed one guy, got 100 hog points, and the other guy got 40 hog points. So it's like, you may have a sandbag attached to your balloon, but not enough sandbags, so you're still flying.
Yeah, and I mean, it all comes down, like, you need the guy who leads over 200 laps in this race.
Yeah, if you miss, I've seen that plenty of times. Like, oh, I've got a good lineup. Yeah, but you missed the number 1 guy. So you have 5 awesome picks, but you missed the number 1 guy, and you don't make a dime. So that's why I think you need to at least spend 3 picks, maybe even 4 if you really want to increase your odds. Because if you nail that 1 guy, he can make up for 2 bad picks in a lineup. 2 guys that really do nothing. Now, if a guy like wrecks out starting 10th, that's probably going to kill you. But you can have a Corey LaJoie and Anthony Alfredo do nothing for you. But you nailed the number 1 guy, and having that guy that scores 200 points is just enough to pull you above the mark. And so that's one of your lineups. Now think of your other lineups where, you don't have so much dead weight, and obviously you're going to make more and more money. So, and that also sounds a little too safe, but it is kind of contrarian to burn a lot of picks trying to target guys that are going to, I think Byron's going to be a really interesting way to approach, but we'll get to that later. So we both agree 3 to 4 trying to nail these guys. And from there, it's just, you're going to have a little bit of chalk place differential wherever you can squeeze in. And we'll get to these guys in a little bit. But even with just taking 2 shots, I think that's bold. It can work, but we're guessing. We are guessing. All right. Keselowski, you want to talk about him?
Yeah, 3rd best entering this way. I mean, just look at his numbers. I don't have to really say much. It's all green and everything you want to see. The one thing that I'm looking at more for Martinsville than normal is the amount of DK, like where he is in past DK points, like where he's finished. And I'm trying to get trying to pick as many dominators as I can. I'm looking at where they've finished in terms of their DFS scores the last 6 races, 4 races and stuff. And so if I can get more guys who average top 5 and DraftKings points, I feel like I'm on the right track, and Keselowski fits right into that.
So Keselowski's price is, it's not really cheap. Yeah, you can get your place differential, but he's not giving you any savings. The concern I have with Keselowski, and he's in there, but Truex is higher for me, Elliott is higher for me. He just doesn't lead laps. He has that one big, awesome monster race, but that was a different package. That was the high downforce package. That might have been the first time they did. No, they had run at Phoenix already in the high downforce. So we're not racing this package anymore. It was, I mean, you can just see based on these 2 numbers right here that I think it's freaking garbage. But you look at a more equitable package, more evenly opportunized, making words up here, package. He hasn't really put up a monster number. Yeah, back in 2017, it's quite a while ago to go that far. 20 points at his price, it might work. But then again, if he's good enough for 14 to 13, he just needs a little bit more. And look, he had faced a lot of adversity in this spring race last year where I think he went down a lap along with Blaney and battled back and got up there at the end. And he was up near the front. He just never seemed to have enough it wasn't as fast as Logano, wasn't as fast as Blaney, wasn't as fast as Truex, wasn't as fast as Elliott. He's right there. I don't know if he's going to find that extra speed. And at Phoenix, where I think we were really high on him, yeah, it was, absolutely was. And that was the exact same story at Phoenix. He was right there, but he wasn't as fast as Truex, and he wasn't probably as fast as Larson, and he just teased us that whole race. And I had such high hopes for Brett Keselowski. He's good. He's very good. And Keselowski's also a guy that worries me of, he's happy to settle for these like 3rd place finishes in these times. If he doesn't have the winning car, then he doesn't have the winning car, and he's just going to do what he needs to do. He's not going to try to go out there and push it and be super aggressive. I don't know. I mean, I do know. He just seems like he's a step behind the top tier. Maybe he makes that step up today. Where you got Logano?
Got a lot of Logano. I think, I mean, I'm projecting him to do the exact same thing that Harrison is doing. Leads the first part, somebody else takes.
Is Denny Hamlin going to wreck him at the beginning like he should have done at Bristol?
No. If he's not going to do it for the win, he's not going to do it on lap 3.
Write that down, because if that happens, that will be the greatest moment ever. Yeah, he's got the pole. Denny Hamlin's not going to push it on the outside. Like some of these guys, you would worry. Like if Noah Gragson was on your outside on the starting grid, or some of these drivers, you may be slightly concerned with. But I don't really think Denny Hamlin's going to press the issue at the very beginning of this race. So he'll lead into the competition caution. And if they race tonight, the track's going to be super green. So they're going to take it really safe. And he'll have the number 1 pit stall, so he'll come out with the lead. If they run tomorrow, that track's going to be really rubbered up. And I don't know if that's really going to change too much. Having 2 races at more, I don't know when that's ever happened. A couple for the Cup. I know the truck has followed the Cup series, but that could make things interesting. But I'm not going to get deep in that weeds. Yeah, Logano's. Where do you think he is on ownership?
I don't know, because I think he comes in around maybe 39. I don't think he's over 40, but I think he should be higher, but I don't think he will be.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Well, let's see. How is the poll setter done? Because whatever reason, the people will follow this trend. Look, poll setter's been fine. 30 points. What are they on average? 27 points. That's fine by me. We gotta get that number 3 spot. Lock it in. Whoever's starting in the 3 hole.
Or I was going to say the main thing to take away is whoever's starting inside the top 7, has a good chance of dominating this race. That's really what it is.
That's who we're looking at. And in the top 7 in this race, especially, is really good cars where we haven't necessarily. I mean, so last year, starting grid was always set by season points. So it was kind of a reflection of current form. And you saw the cars up front run really well. The fault was Chase Elliott, but I think he had just had some wreck issues going into that race. Yeah, I don't think that's going to change anything. Pole seems fine, but it's not number 1. They don't lead the most on average.
You don't need him to lead the most at his price.
No, you just need to have a good day, and he tends to have good days. And does have a couple duds here. That would worry some people. But again, that's 2019. We can just write that off. I should just hide this completely. 16 is probably not enough. No, it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. Close. So it doesn't hurt. You'll still be cashing if he gets you 16 and finishes in the top 3 or 4. Hamlin. Where you got a Hamlin?
I'm worried about Hamlin.
It seems to not be good here.
I'm really trying to go out of my way to make sure I have some of him, but I don't have a lot of faith in Hamlin doing much in this race, because he would need to take over right at the start, and he needs to.
Well, not necessarily. He could get the lead on pit road. It's gonna be tough though to beat Logano with that number 1 pit stall, but I mean, that's 500 laps, man. I don't think his only opportunity to lead laps is at the beginning, unless you really do think Truex is gonna come and slap people around. Then yeah.
Well, I think if you're ranking cars in terms of how fast they should be, it should be Truex first, probably Logano second, Chase and Brad for 4th. I mean, that's just pushing Hamlin farther and farther down.
Yeah, if we look at last year's low down, he had a really good race car at New Hampshire. So did Keselowski, but he wasn't very good at Martinsville. I mean, he was there up front the entire time. I don't remember them specifically having any issues. I could look through the race notes real quick, but it was not really a factor in last year's Martinsville race. Again, though, like we talked about yesterday, was that Hamlin didn't really need to win, and so he wasn't absolutely pushing it. He wasn't as aggressive, and we kind of saw Allgaier do that last year, and maybe Austin Cindric. But I don't know. Let me see if I can see anything in the notes from that Martin. I mean, obviously they missed the setup in the spring race, and that was pretty much doomsday for them. Let me see. Hamlin in fine. He was actually pretty aggressive at the beginning of the race. He's up front. Oh, he had to pit for a loose wheel. Oh, yeah. So he had to pit an extra time, so then he had to drive through traffic. Him and Harvick had all of his issues, but one of the things that killed Hamlin's finish was he had to he had to pit twice under caution. And so he restarted from the very back. I think he also had a penalty too. No, that was it. But he really had to work his way through traffic. But I don't know. It's close. I can't write him off.
No, you certainly cannot. I'm just concerned. I really do think that Logano does the same thing that Burton does. I mean, that's my exact projection of he can take off, lead up to the competition caution. If that second restart that he has is good and he can pull away to like 4 car lengths, all he needs to do is lead, the first 80, 85, 90 laps. I'm sure he'll have some fast laps in there, and that's all I would want from him. And I don't think Hamlin can do that from Logano. I don't think he can do that from other people.
I'm not completely confident in Hamlin, but I also, just like you said earlier to start this conversation, was that I don't feel comfortable not playing Hamlin at Martinsville and overreacting to him missing the better. And so if we look at that spring race, we really almost shouldn't look at it. If you remember, they were running like 3 races in the course of 6 days or 7 days. This was in the middle of the week at Martinsville. It was a night race. Had never been here before. So there's a lot of unknowns. And some of these guys were more aggressive with their setups than other people. Some people were really conservative with their setups. And we saw the people that were really conservative, which are the people who you would think would have been conservative, which were lower team, smaller team, and for whatever reason, some guys up to the top that decided to be conservative. And they ran really well, and the aggressive guys were punished. And then in the fall, everything returned to normal. And in the fall race, the guys that were supposed to be up front were up front, and the guys that were supposed to be in the back were in the back. And so I would imagine we'll see something like that, where they've had a week to prepare. Everybody's now used to this way of setting up. They've now set up for Martinsville before. I don't think there's going to be any surprises, really, with people guessing on setups. There's not going to be there was a reason for aggressive setups last year in the spring race, which again is why we need to throw it out for the most part, is because it was 3 races in the middle. Like, you imagine setting up all those cars and what they were doing and all the unknowns and never having done anything without practice before. A night race at Martinsville, a completely green racetrack at Martinsville, which people say, well, it's going to be a night. Well, it's not going to be a night race. They're not running tonight. It's not going to be a green racetrack. They're going to run tomorrow afternoon in the daytime. A very conservative, safe setup. And even if that were the case, everyone learned their lesson last year that it's better just to play conservative and safe at the beginning of the race and then make adjustments throughout instead of trying to, unlock the mystery for the first run. Absolutely worthless. That wild, aggressive setups nearly ruined Keselowski's race, nearly ruined Blaney's race. It did ruin Hamlin's race. There were a couple other. I think Eric Almirola also had. They've learned their lesson. I imagine all the setups will be pretty conservative, pretty safe, especially considering we've got rain and the possibility. We talked about this yesterday. If you're working on the car this week, are you setting up for a night race or for a day race? We don't know which one they're going to do, but I would imagine if I was the crew chief, I'm going to try to find a setup that's the safest for both scenarios, probably more leaning towards Sunday, but I'm not going to be aggressive either way because you don't know when you're going to race. So I think you're going to see the guys up front stay up front and the crappers in the back stay in the back. And I think that's bad news for some of these guys that really need to be able to benefit from people taking big swings and misses. I don't think the big swings and misses are going to come. I think it's going to be very chalky. It's going to be a very green race. People are going to want to get out of town. They've already had to stay an extra day. They planned to have their Sunday off. It's not happening.
They're angry. They're mad.
We're going to have to wait until the middle of the afternoon to run at freaking Martinsville, which they'll say on TV they love. And some of these guys do love Martinsville, but I guarantee you half the field hates running at Martinsville because it's just a headache. But it's old school racing. Yeah, it is. But I don't think a lot of these guys enjoy braking, this type of racing. Maybe they do, whatever.
Let's try and swing through and get to the actual, plays in the back versus just be like, oh, play everybody up here. I don't know who's
let's keep going. I think we are. So if we are ranking so far, who are you ranking as number 1?
Truex.
Okay, number 2.
Let me get my stuff.
I'm gonna put your name on this. I'm afraid of you about to put for number 2.
Let me see. I have Brad as number 2.
Okay, all right. I'm probably not with you on that, but I want that to be centered. Why is that not centered? Why does that look weird? Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski, number 2. Who you got number 3?
I got Logano as 3.
4. I think you're probably too low on Elliott. Is my initial.
Yeah,
I would have probably Elliott too. What do you got?
I got him 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody. I mean, I really can't rank anyone else. They're kind of all even.
You don't think Larson's going to get any Hulk, or it's all pretty even? So 5. You can put 2 guys at 5.
I mean, I would put Larson as 5, but I mean, at this point, they're all on the same plane.
So you got Larson. We'll talk about Blaney second. Hamlin, all kind of as your 5th. Again, we would like to be absolute as possible, but everyone has to understand that we are all guessing here that who we're gonna, and you know what data we're looking at. I think this is as close to absolute as we're gonna get.
Yeah, and I mean, like I have lineups that
play everybody. Well, okay, here we go. Some people will want us to say, so if you were going to play one lineup, correct in that one lineup?
Yes.
All right.
If I was going to play like in absolutes, probably Truex, Blaney, Brad. Those would be my 3 that I would focus on. Like if I was doing one lineup, I think it would go that way.
All right. So if we'll go green for your guys. If you were going to go absolute, you would go those guys. All right.
I think I would do that.
And if I were to go one lineup, I would also go with Truex. I'll go boxes for my guys. I will play. I don't think I'll be able to afford Elliott and still have a decent lineup, so I probably won't go with him. I will go with Blaney as well. And if I had to pick, and I am going to pick a 3rd guy in my non-Byron lineups.
Are you going to have a lot of Byron?
No, not a lot. I haven't decided yet, but it's something that I want to talk about in here to try to decide where I want to go. And then Logano, I think that's really good. I think that's a really good shot at nailing the 3 guys that are going to get over 40 Hulk points.
And I think this is a good example of how like we approach things differently. Like obviously this would be like our absolute section, and then I have my rankings that are different, and then I'm building lineups that are throwing Kyle Larson and William Byron into lineups as well. I don't know if that helps or hurts people understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, we're trying to be as transparent as possible and show them the process that we're going through and what we're looking at and the data that we're looking at. We're not just saying play this guy because of – we're trying to explain why, and then when you explain why you like a guy, I try to attack and criticize that, and I hope that you do the same thing to make us really think about it. Okay, Kyle Busch. Oh, let's talk about Blaney. So Blaney's track history checks out. He seems pretty comfortable. I did coin the broadcast booth boost, or I can't remember. It's like broadcast booth bump, whatever it was. And we decided that wasn't a thing, and it failed. And when I gave up on the broadcast booth boost, then it worked. We saw Logano win after being in the booth. We got to see Blaney win after being in the booth. Suarez had probably his best race in years after being in the booth.
It's all pointing to Austin Dillon
or Blaney.
Blaney's already had it. He's good anyway.
I'm sorry, but if you look up the details, you got to look in the rules, subsection 3.5a. You can have it multiple times. Or you can play Austin. Austin Dillon used to be. I remember a couple times he was this obvious chalk play because he was starting in the back. But it's been a while. That's old school Martinsville DFS. When you had these chalk Dillon plays, he's been really bad/unlucky. He's had just about everything go wrong. So I don't know if I want to go broadcast booth boost for Austin Dillon, but I'm more than happy to do it with Blaney. That's it. That's all you need to know, folks. Don't need to look at his stats or his data. But I don't know, though. Actually, were you listening to the broadcast last night when it just started to rain?
Oh, yeah.
And they're getting ready to do it. I was like, all right, guys. I don't know. I think I might get out of here.
Right, yeah. He was like, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to get in and out. Easy hour and a half.
And Alexander's like, you're not leaving, are you? Like, well, I got a race tomorrow. Like, we don't have to race till 8 o'clock. Yeah, but – and that's when I said, well, I don't know. I'm out of here. I know Blaney can't leave or not, but I'm going to – they aren't racing. Did he have to stick around during that rain delay?
I probably did because, that
might hurt these guys.
I don't know. They're racing tomorrow. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Blaney's a young kid. He'll be fine. But no. But what I want to get is he gonna have to be in the booth? No, wait, they're not racing this morning, so that's good. My worry was, does he have to call this stupid race and then run down and actually, they didn't hurt him last time, so.
I don't think he'll be in the booth, so I don't know.
Well, the race is going to be on. No, it will be. Yeah, because now.
Yeah, because they race noon.
Right now. He's going to have to do the call Sunday afternoon and then do the race 3 hours later.
Well, that's what Logano did with the truck.
Logano did that and it didn't hurt him whatsoever. When Blaney won, he had the data, whatever, but.
We're far deep in the people are starting to leave now. Okay, so everything points to Blaney. Blaney should win at this track at some point in his career.
Care if people leave.
I don't care. You know me.
Look, you got 1,200 subscribers now, so who cares? Yeah. So he's been awesome at this track. Maybe I would understand like, hey, let's not weigh this 2019 data so much. The real turning point for me that opened my eyes was this 2016 race or 2018 race in the spring. So it's number 6. I had no interest in Blaney whatsoever. And he just went out there and was awesome. It was that Monday afternoon. And there's another thing, like the race was snowed out. So they went out there on a sunny Monday afternoon. It was like a completely different weather change and it was awesome. Didn't look good really in practice. Didn't stand out to me any, but whatever. And then from there, he's been really good at this racetrack. So, I could make an argument. He doesn't have the wins, but you look at like just race in, race out consistency. He's been just as good as Truex. Do you think that's a fair assessment of Blaney over the last 6 races?
Mm-hmm.
And even in this 2019 race, he still put up some hog points despite these guys taking them all away. I remember in this race, Blaney was one of the few cars that was able to make passes. Not that matters in this track, but if he's able to pass in the high downforce package, then he should be able to pass in the low downforce package. He just looked good. You look at his laps at Martinsville, and he's really comfortable here. Penske's got the setup, obviously. I will probably have more Blaney than any of these guys. Just price, and I just believe in him.
Yeah, I got some Blaney stacks with Logano as well. I think that has a higher chance of.
Well, and we go back to it. I think people overthink it, but look, here's where the hog points come from. So we're staying within this area of starting position. We're picking the drivers that are up here, and it can be any of them. And so why? I ended up like, I don't know. Blaney's starting 4th. Logano's starting 1st. Can I put them both? Yes, you can put them both in your lineup. You can put any of these guys, any 3 of these guys in your lineups. They're going to stay more than likely as long as they don't completely miss on the setup. But even then, like Blaney missed on the setup last year, started on the pole, completely tanks, still gets back to the front. Other than Stenhouse, these are going to be the guys that run up front the entire time. And if you're running up front, you have a chance of getting a fast lap here or there or leading laps. You're not going to lead laps starting. A lot has to go on for these guys to lead laps.
I'm glad that
it's not easy for this to happen.
I'm glad that you switched to the grid view because I was going to ask you to do that now that we're pretty much out of the front guys, out of the front runners. I think we should start talking about positions at this point.
We didn't talk about Harvick or Busch, but I think that just goes without saying that I'm not. If I miss on Harvick, that's fine. I'll own that 100%. I just don't. He hasn't run well here, and the setups have been off. Kyle Busch. The only thing that I could say that really worries me is because we've typically said he doesn't have practice and the setups. They really nailed the setup at Atlanta. That was really impressive. But, hey, that's Atlanta. Just because you nailed the setup at Atlanta doesn't mean you're going to nail the setup at Martinsville. At other intermediate tracks, my eyes are open for Busch being alive and well again and not necessarily needing 500. Because he didn't need 500 laps. He was up front like that. But then again, he didn't really control the race like you would want to see from Kyle Busch. Either way, not the week for Busch or Harvick. You get 30 seconds on Busch and Harvick. Go.
All right, Busch or Harvick. I'm just going to say this. I have Kyle Busch projected for 50.5 DK points and Harvick for 47.1. Yeah. I'm going to have them in lineups in case they do something, but they are my least interest is there.
All right, so let's move through. Reddick, no.
Let's talk about Stenhouse because
no.
No
for me. Look, this one has really pushed it. I know he hit that 1 week, and he had actually 1 week he had a good race. Then the next week he came back and hit this one. Again, if I'm wrong again, that's fine. But he was awful at Phoenix. He had a good. This is just such a different thing. This isn't Phoenix. Phoenix, you can make that work. Phoenix can be – this is its own monster at Martinsville. He's never raced well here. The dirt track guys all seem to struggle at this track. It's a no for me.
All right, so I don't have any Stenhouse either. I figured you'd have some Stenhouse ownership. I don't have any Newman ownership.
I can't do Stonkhouse. If Newman was starting a little further back, I would maybe entertain it, but he's not giving you enough savings.
Yeah.
All right, Suarez would be where I think there is a conversation to be had about Suarez.
I'm getting quite a bit of Suarez because if he can, I think he finishes inside the top 10 here.
Even if he doesn't, it's more of just of. So talk me through it. How do you see this race playing out for Suarez? How does he work?
He works two ways. One, this car yet again actually shows that he's fast and he finishes inside the top 15. He also works if the guys around him in the price range don't work, or he just outscores them by 1 or 2 points. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah. Well, so he just needs to outscore those guys. And the huge benefit that he has over LaJoy and Alfredo is, like we talked about this earlier, even the competition caution may help or save some of them, but I don't think so. I think competition caution is going to help save Bowman, Busch, to Benedetto. Usually the guy that nails the setup at the beginning just starts flying and just starts picking guys off. Mm-hmm. And that means LaJoy and Alfredo are in a really bad spot. And if I look at, I want to see what LaJoy's starting position was in these races. Because I wonder if LaJoy was definitely padded by a decent starting position. He's starting in a spot where he needs to get going early. Otherwise, so 26th, a little bit better. In this race, he was starting 25th. These are a lot safer spots. In this race, he was starting 36th. It was at the one where he got a So it worries me. They go a lap down. They never get – I mean, we saw last year Kevin Harvick couldn't get back on the lead lap. We're watching, AJ Allmendinger. It's so hard to get back on the lead lap. It's hard to get that lucky dog. Wave rounds last year, they really didn't even happen. They probably won't happen again. People stay out. So you lose that lap, you're pretty much, done for. And Suarez, though, he's going to hang on the lead lap the entire race unless they just completely lay an egg. So he's always going to be around here in a decent spot.
And he has to really lay an egg. Like, this is a top 15 car.
Car's been really good. You look at the last time he was in decent equipment. He had, 9th place with JGR, 10th place with Stuart Haas. As long as he doesn't wreck or do something ridiculous. Last year, he wrecked, but technically he didn't wreck himself. He wrecked Chris Buescher. I like it. I don't love it because I love it a lot more in Stenhouse. Yes, Stenhouse is going in the right direction, but my big argument against Stenhouse is, yeah, he struggled at Phoenix in the past, but that wasn't a racetrack where he was vocal about, like, I suck here. Stenhouse is just always not like Martinsville, has always struggled at Martinsville. It's a good car, but in comparison to, the top-notch equipment that he had at Roush, and I know Roush wasn't top-notch equipment, but even at the beginning of his career, second season into his career, those were pretty good cars, and he couldn't do anything on Martinsville. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that his car's probably somewhere in that range. He's going backwards. He's probably going to lose 2 points. I just don't like him at this track. Suarez, I like more at this track. Suarez got a better starting position. Suarez probably has a slightly better car. Yeah. Remember, Stenhouse is up here because he had a good dirt track race. Mm-hmm. The same could be said for Suarez to an extent. But all right, where are we at next? Tyler Reddick is a no for me.
No for me.
McDowell's a no for me.
Okay, so I want to talk about McDowell, Buescher, and Jones here. I think one of these three are optimal.
Okay.
I think if I had to rank them on probability, it's probably Buescher, Jones, and McDowell. However, it seems like Eric Jones is going to be chalky, like in this range, which is really weird because
where did this come from?
Just from how people are building lineups and some of the stuff I'm reading, they're stuck at Eric Jones. What is he at? He is 6,600. Because even if you
he Las Vegas because of a perfectly timed caution, 14th at a road course, don't start it with, well, road courses run kind of like Martinsville. He's been terrible this year. Terrible. The car has been terrible. I can't even believe he's starting 16th, but I think that's more of how bad the field has been, I guess. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? He's starting 16th. How much is this formula weighing the last race as opposed to everything?
It's got to be I don't even.
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
I haven't cared. I haven't cared enough. Like I just look at the starting grid. Like I don't.
That's a shame. Like I'm supposed to, like, what are the calculations for? I was like, I don't care. Just tell me where they are.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Jones sucks. Busher's been so much better than him. McDowell has been like nothing special, but I feel like he's been more McDowell than, I don't know. I'd feel more.
So anyway, going here, like if you're building a 2 dominator lineup, you'll end up having a 6K guy, and it seems that people are choosing Jones, Busher, or Chastain, which we'll talk about Chastain a bit.
The RPM car has been decent at. You look at Bubba, and I think it's just Richard Petty. Eric Almirola, I believe, had some pretty good races here for Richard Petty Motors. Not really good, but was competitive. And this is a track where I would imagine Richard Petty Motorsports really wants to run well. Martinsville's one of his big-time tracks, so they put a little bit extra time into it. But even if that's the case, is he better than 15th?
I don't think so. I think Busher's the chalk here.
Yeah, that seems right. He's had success here. I mean, you see his 38th because he rear-ended Daniel Suarez at the beginning of stage 2. Mm-hmm. Other than that, he's been pretty good. McDowell just seems like the savings play.
So I like McDowell for savings and the ownership. That finish from last year is he had an engine issue and he went in the garage right at the start of the race in the fall last time. So he got trap laps down.
Okay.
But he's been fine. If you look at the Daytona road course, if you like short tracks,
there it is.
It always comes back to Daytona.
Yeah,
I am
he was a go-kart legend. He showed 14. He's a 14-year-old go-kart guy. And then he redid it again. Do you see that terrible outfit?
Yeah.
Loves outfit squeezing into a go-kart.
Like, oh, these kids are racing with the Daytona 500 champion.
Oh, God. Whatever.
I wish you
I worry about McDowell. I don't think I really want to go there for savings-wise because I really could see him finishing 23rd, and then that negative place differential really kills you.
I don't think people play him though. Like
it's fine, and I won't probably play him either. I'd rather play Ryan Preece of all those guys.
Yeah,
I too. Yeah. He's been maybe just a tad. He's been a little bit better than McDowell. Yeah. So I mean, look at Jones in really good equipment, not putting together results at a track where he's just not doing it. Now he's going to be in weaker equipment. No. If we look at this year and see, like, okay, what does Eric Jones do when he's been in weak equipment? The answer is he sucks. He's been bad. And it gives you a little bit more respect for Bubba Wallace and what Bubba was doing in his equipment and was able to, often maybe not get too much out of the car or not. He definitely didn't suck in it. And you're looking at Jones now for the first time ever having in his entire career having to race inferior equipment, and he doesn't look like a very good race car driver. Really interesting to see that where you get I don't know. I don't understand Eric Jones in the spot. Yeah. But I like Ryan Preece. Okay, Austin Dillon. If I wouldn't have mentioned that broadcast boost nonsense, would you have any interest in Austin Dillon?
Yeah, I have quite a bit of Austin Dillon.
Why?
Because let me look at the lineups. Let me see who I'm playing him with.
I think he wrecked at the beginning of both these races. Yeah, I know he wrecked at the beginning of the spring night race. He might have had another issue at the beginning of the fall race as well.
I feel like he's if you want to place differential play, I would much rather pay 71 for Austin Dillon than for Kurt Busch than for Alex Bowman. Benedetto I like as well for place differential, but if I'm chasing a place differential play, I want to pay down for that, especially at this where I'm trying to aim for those lap leaders.
But do you have any reason why you like him other than just being different?
The Richmond race last year.
What about the Martinsville race last year?
I'm grabbing at straws over here.
I know, yeah. That's my point. Is you're just it's more of a I just want to be different, and I'm hoping which can happen.
That wouldn't be bad.
But that Richmond race was a complete surprise to them, though. I remember after that race, like, yeah, we got some stuff, but like they weren't supposed to be a top 5 car. They were a top 5 car. They was a surprise. So I guess if you're playing around, like, hey, maybe they'll just luck out and have a magically fast car. But man, they just went backwards in this. It didn't do anything. This is a bad car. Here he gets some time up front, and then he fades. Looks like 15th place at best.
Which, if he could just stay at the tail end of the lead lap the whole race, I'll be happy with.
I don't think that's going to be enough. I would say if he just stays at the tail end of the lead lap, it's fine. But you're probably going to be there's going to be a better build with a cheap guy and one of these guys who actually scores points. I think you're going to need top 10s, and I don't believe Austin Dillon get you top 10. We already talked about Larson. All right, now let's start ranking these place differential plays.
In terms of pricing or where they should finish?
Best play. You can factor into whatever you want to that.
Probably DiBenedetto.
Do you think DiBenedetto? What's your evidence for making DiBenedetto the best play?
Well, we've seen how well he runs at the short tracks, at Martinsville specifically.
Car's fast this year, too.
Yeah, and he's in a Penske.
He's good on restarts.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, and it's a discount. Like, I'm not going to, why would I pay up for Bowman here when he's not going to lead laps? Kurt Busch.
Very well. You can look and you see a little bit of a career progression. So, 2019, he had that Levine family, which is decent equipment, and he took a step forward. And then he gets into the Wood Brothers car and takes another step forward. I would say, yeah, you're probably right. This is where it's going to be. I like it. Number one, put it on the board.
Right there. Lock it in. Lock it in. Or
how popular do you think he's going to be?
I don't think he's popular because if you're chasing the place differential in the back with Eric Almirola and stuff, it's difficult to get DiBenedetto in a lineup. I like it. Like I would go out of my way to get DiBenedetto.
I would rather have DiBenedetto over Almirola.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'd rather. I mean, he's my favorite place differential play,
and that's where Almirola was optimal last year at 8,100, starting 20th. So DiBenedetto starting 22nd, pretty much the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 2. And I guess Almirola should have been in this conversation. Is Almirola?
I'm not probably going to play him.
We can't do that. We need to give people information or let them make the choice whether they want to fade him or not.
I think I'm going back and forth. Part of me thinks he's going to get trapped a lap down. Part of me thinks he's going to finish, 17th. I don't see him getting a top 10 again.
So they really missed the setup here. That happens. And I'm assuming this 37 is a wreck. You may look that up.
We can.
Yeah. So look, if we can dismiss the 20, which we can also, this is a different package right here, but I'm guaranteed you it's going to be a wreck. Let me pull it up. So if you take those away, his last 4 finishes are 14th or better. If he finishes, and I think he had really good finishes at this track with
in the 43.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it's hard to fade him. And for you can fade him or whatever, but at least for ranking in the show, we should tell people he's number 2, if not number 1. You can't say, "Oh, we're not going to rank him just because we want to fade him." That's not very helpful to people. They should at least know that, hey, this is number 2 play. You're fading it. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, so this will.
What is against what?
He's projected for. I have Eric Almirola projected for 51.4 points. I don't think he's going to be in the optimal lineup. I think he'll finish.
That's almost it's over 6x though.
He's not going to be optimal, even with that. Like if I don't think he's optimal because the lineups that you make with him, you can only chase 2 lap leaders. Okay, you get the main guy, then you get Eric Almirola, and then you're stuck with a bunch of jokers.
You only need 2 lap leaders. That's typically what wins. And here are all the optimal lineups, and you can go through them. It's 2 lap leaders. Last year, 8,100, 56 points, and he was optimal. We had a 5x Matt DiBenedetto. He was optimal. $7,000 last year. 6x Bubba Wallace, 5,800. That's really not defending my case here at all. Yeah, I mean, it is going to be kind of tight. 6x. I don't think you can definitively say he won't be optimal at 6x. But do you have anything else for not playing him other than that? I think he scores points, but he just doesn't score enough to be optimal. You could say that for every one of these guys.
Yeah, we could. Just, looking at the 150 lineups that I have everybody involved in, sure, he's in the top 25 lineups, but he's not in the top, 5 highest scoring lineups that I would project. Like I just don't see, I don't want to pay that much for a place differential play, especially when I think he's going to be the highest owned play. And that's not for
All
me.
right, so I get that. Ownership wise, it's fine, but that doesn't mean we can't rank him. So he had a battery issue in that 2019 race. That's fine, but we can't not rank him because of that. If we are looking at stats, if we're looking at starting position, if we're looking at price, and we're looking at all these guys' starting position, and we're looking at their price, and we're looking at their previous stats, he's number 2, isn't he? Aside from DFS theory, people can put that on top and say, all right, he's going to be popular. I shouldn't play him.
Okay, let me answer it like this, because I do better when I'm talking about the numbers. So looking at Bowman, Kurt Busch, DiBenedetto, Bell, and Eric Almirola, I have, and here's some freebies for everybody watching. These are my projections for these guys. So I have Kurt Busch at 54.4, Matt DiBenedetto at 50.5, Christopher Bell 50.6, Eric Almirola for 51.4. If I'm projecting these guys in very similar ranges, why am I paying up for Eric Almirola? I think that's why it's just.
What are you paying up for Kurt Busch?
No, that's what I haven't projected. I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay up for those guys. I want to pay up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's not whether you want to or not. It's whether they work. Some of these guys are going to work, and the reason that they work is because they've been good at this track, or that they have starting positions in the 30s. It really doesn't matter what we want. We can't will this either way. Eric Almirola.
Okay, well, we need to bring. Okay, in this conversation, I guess we need to bring. But hold on, we need to bring Bubba Wallace and Chastain in this conversation too, because I have Wallace projected for 49.5, Chastain I have him projected for 45.5. So
how do you have Bubba Wallace at 49.5? Where do you have this guy finishing? Wait, you got him finished like what, 10th?
Well, like around 12th, around there. I think I'm giving him fast laps at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, Bubba's fine. Like these guys are fine.
Yeah, so I mean, when you get all these guys in a chunk, yeah. Don't
all right. Okay, look, I think you're making a good point in comparison. The other guy, so you would say everyone here is close.
Yes, everybody here is on very it comes down to price, and these are all the same plays.
Okay, number 2 then. These are your rankings. I should stop trying to give you a hard time. Who's number 2 for you?
Probably Bubba Wallace.
So. And let me just try to read your mind. Starting position checks out. The price is very doable. His results have been really good in that RPM car. Now he's in what should be a really, really good car. He should at the least be able to replicate his results from this. Now, should we mention the spring race stuff? Do we want to bring that up on the air, or we get canceled?
See. Yeah, we're an hour and a half. We're an hour and 10 minutes, so we need to make this longer.
All right. Yeah, no. If you want,
it needs to be. Do we? I'll say it if you don't want to say it.
Yeah, you please do. Since you are a minority, I can't say it. I've been.
I should have brought my Bubba shirt on. So this was the whole.
You do have a picture of yourself with Bubba, so this should be able.
Yeah, there we go. People won't crucify me for this. So this was the
tinfoil hats out, people. But I don't really think this is a tinfoil hat situation. Go ahead.
So I mean, looking back at this race, this is when he was running the Black Lives Matter car, or maybe it didn't say that.
The hands together.
Yeah, the hands together
Black
car.
Lives Matter car.
And so entering this week, obviously in the back of my mind is as a guy who believes NASCAR goes out of their way to make images look good. Certain winners, certain people here. I was like, I think they're going to let Bubba. People are going to be really easy on Bubba. Nobody's going to race him hard. Nobody's going to push him out of the way. Nobody wants to wreck him. Newman was getting 10 feet away from Bubba in this race. Like nobody was racing Bubba.
I put this in my notes as politely as I could possibly write it without someone saying, "Wait a second." We all know no one passes Ryan Newman unless, of course, and this is late in the race. This is stage 3 battling. It was 11th place, and just kind of.
Yeah, he let him by. So I don't really want to use that data because I think people were being nice to Bubba here.
And this is a racetrack where no one's nice to anyone, and your result is you're doing great blocking and you're really having to battle. If you don't have to battle, this is a really easy racetrack. If
that car wasn't touched by anybody, it was clean as day. I know it's probably going in a museum. or something. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but that's why I don't. That 11th
You look at
place,
the fall race and the result. He was good,
Mhm.
but he didn't get an inflated finish. Like, I mean, just watch stage 3, folks, and watch them. They're like, wow, look at Bubba Wallace go, and you're like, wait a second, why doesn't he have to like bump people out of the way? Why are they like just kind of all running a little higher of a group? And then you get to like, oh, I think they all just don't want to look bad. And I don't blame them. I want like, imagine you were, who was the guy we were talking about this before? But you don't want to be the guy that puts Bubba Wallace in the wall. You don't want to be the guy that's blocking Bubba Wallace during that race. I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of
that's our
we're canceled. All right, so we canceled police a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to get canceled.
All right, let's see who else.
Yeah, I mean, if you set that aside, he has looked good at this racetrack. He should have a really good car. His price is cheaper, and if his ownership's a lot lower than Alec Almirola, then yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. I like Christopher Bell here, probably 3, because I mean you can just look at your totals right there. You have Christopher Bell for 53, Eric Almirola for 48, and that's only $300 more. And if I'm going to be in that 8K range and I want to pay up for place differential, I'm not going to pay up for Bowman. I'm not going to pay up for Kurt Busch. I'd much rather go with Christopher Bell because I think he could actually, finish top 5. Eric Almirola can finish top 15. I think
he's also had more luck too. I mean, the reason why Eric Almirola is starting in the back, parts are failing. He's wrecking. Christopher Bell is trending in the right direction. Daytona road cars. Don't mention that. He's going to get better at this track too. We have just, this young driver at Martinsville. It just takes race after race, and he's starting to show that growth. And he wasn't even really in the great JGR equipment last year either. Mm-hmm. I'm on board for paying up and getting away from Almirola. All right. Where you go now? Do we finally get Almirola ranked, or we probably go up?
I'm going to Chastain here. Yep. I'd love Chastain, and I'm ashamed that everybody else is going to him. And I'm.
Why are you ashamed? Is this supposed to be your special play?
He's won me a lot.
He's a race car driver.
He's won me a lot of money this year, man. I can't. And at low ownership too. I don't like Chastain at high ownership, and I think he's going to be around probably 25, 22.
Like it's an aggressive track where you have to block, you have to be a jerk, and we've seen Chastain
do that at other tracks. You don't need to do that.
We've seen him do it throughout his career. Now he's finally in the Cup after pretty much making enemies of everyone in the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series. Now he's in the Cup Series. You think like, all right, is he going to respect his elders? No, he's not. He's trying to pick fights with Kyle Busch, Matt DiBenedetto. That's good for Martinsville. Now, this also could be the week where he finally gets a little bit of what he has coming to him. But he was good in the Xfinity Series. He was good. He didn't win the Trucks, did he? I don't know. He's run well in lower series. He might be better than 4th, though. You'd probably just lower because of ownership. Like point per dollar wise, he might be one of the better ones on here.
I think, that's why I didn't really bring him in this conversation at the start, because this was more of the 7K guys. But if we're talking about place differential, I think Chastain needs to be mentioned. And he's not hard.
10 lineups, and you had to do Chastain or Briscoe in all of them. How many have Chastain? How many have Briscoe? You only play 1.
Answer that again.
So you got 10 lineups, and you got $6,300 left. How many of those lineups does Briscoe get into? How many lineups does Chastain get into?
Well, seeing how I currently have 10 lineups made, and Chastain is in 6 of them, and Briscoe isn't in any, I think that should tell you where I like.
That answered my question, and I think that helps the people out. All right, next. So that means Briscoe's really not getting ranked. And if Briscoe's not getting ranked, then Custer's probably not getting ranked.
So
if you're trying to – these are contrarian plays then?
I think if I'm trying to get different, I'm going to play Briscoe and Custer.
But I'm sorry, but we should have probably talked about Bowman and Busch first, shouldn't we? Or are they not even in this group?
I have
too much, too expensive.
I don't like it. I don't think they lead laps. I think they can both get top 10 finishes, like 9th and 10th. I wouldn't be shocked at that. But
the same thing that hurts Almirola is the same thing that hurts them. Like you probably 6X seems good, but it's probably not good enough. And it is hard for them to really creep past 6X. And they really do need to be safe to get in the alpha line about 6.5. And that's kind of the same thing that hurts Almirola is, yeah, you can get 6X and it's probably fine in cash. And I think what I'd normally distribute to mention that cash, you're fine playing Eric Almirola. And you really don't need to pay up for these guys, but it just seems like they have hard ceilings. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Back to Custer then.
So you got to go out of your way to get Custer. And
Yeah.
if you want to get off of Bubba,
Bubba.
Custer is the way to go.
Yep. All right. I'm not going to rank him, though, because it's just simply a all right. Now let's go look at the jokers in the back. This is what everyone's been waiting for. They've been tuned in the entire time. You teased them at the beginning with your exotic
marker Sunday show.
McClown talk. All right. Give people what they want.
All right, real talk. Because I get questions about Quinn Hoff. Yes, he's cheap. Yes, he helps build lineups, but I think he's going to get negative points. Maybe
were wrecking all over the place last year.
I mean, this is a bad play here. Now, if you want to be like me, I think there's going to be a back marker that works here, and it's BJ McLeod again.
All right. Well, before we do that, let's just see how many times that one of these true back markers have been in an optimal lineup. And then because I really want to give a lot. This is interesting to me, and this helps research wise. I want to see, can we play a back marker? So, not a true back marker, but pretty close with LaJoy 2019. Pretty close.
Under 5,000? 53?
Let's just use our general, like we know who back markers are.
All right.
Okay. LaJoy's pretty close. He's on that cusp. Mm-hmm. I would, if you want to say that it is, I will listen. And if you want to say it isn't, I will also listen to that. We look at 2019 spring race, no back markers. Mm-hmm. Value, but no back markers. 2020 value. Michael McDowell is just priced too low. 5,100 Michael McDowell. What are we doing, folks? That was chalk. 29th. Come on, DraftKings. Let's see. And then, so no true back markers. And so far, let's keep going. No true back marker. Landon Castle. Okay. Landon Castle 2017 was definitely a true back marker.
He only finished 23rd, too. He didn't knock the socks off anything.
That smells like a Cole Whitt finish. I think we'll probably see Cole Whitt up here in a second. Nope. Landon Castle again in 2016. We're getting pretty deep, but hey, whatever.
Look at that. Started 33rd, finished 29th.
And it gets the job done. And that's kind of what we're looking at. We don't need what was this day for him? And he's 5,500 here.
And I know the pricing or the points distributed to finishing positions were different there, but like that's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Come on. That is interesting.
Yeah. So we get two. That's it. We didn't get a Cole Whitt. I wonder if 2015 Cole Whitt probably hit for some reason that's popping up in my head. I could probably pull that up, but I'm not going to. You know what? I think we can. Let me see. Let me see. Danica Patrick. Blast from the past. Man, you look at there. It's Cole Whitt in 2000, whatever this was. Scored 23 fantasy points. That probably was. Yeah, David Reagan getting a top 20 day. Yeah. Huh? I don't know the prices, but you can assume what Cole Whitt was priced at. I don't know what year this was either. It was, let me see. So 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. That's 2016? I don't know. You guys fill in the blanks. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Let's go back even further. Let's see if we can find some true Michael McDowell, Landon Castle, Casey Mears. God, I used to love playing Casey Mears. And it never worked. It worked for him a couple times, but not often. And then, man, Brian Vickers. This is pre-DFS NASCAR. This is old school then, I think. All right. So, yeah, I won't completely rule it out, but, man, it seems like it doesn't happen very often.
You might want to look at what normally is doing. He got 2 comments here, so I'll bring him up.
All right. Martinsville 1, only 51% of the top 1% lineups had a punt. And I think that's more, and we're talking about value punt there. Martinsville 2, 23. Now, remember that Martinsville 1 had the obvious chalk of Michael McDowell. You didn't have a brain if you didn't play Michael McDowell, or you're just playing smart. Martinsville 2, 23%. And there's better pricing, yeah. Martinsville 2, Yaley was in 23% of top percent lineups. Gase, Hill. Yeah, I mean, you can get differentiation by playing these guys, but it hasn't worked. Now, maybe, I don't know what the winning lineups. I don't know. You don't have to build the optimal lineup. The optimal lineup very rarely gets built at Martinsville. Mm-hmm. And which I think we should definitely say that. So we looked at the optimal lineup, and the optimal lineup didn't have one of these guys. But I think the winning – I think I have the winning lineup. I don't. I have it on the sheet. You don't need the perfect lineup. You just need a really good lineup. And a really good lineup can play one of these crappers and it just gives you more shots up here. And if you get a lot of shots right up here, that can win you the GP.
I also want to bring up the fact that, I mean, look, I've been playing with these bottom punts this whole year, you know, in like 1 or 2 lineups. And I posted a small clip on Twitter and talked about it on my Patreon a little bit, but I think my 2nd or 3rd highest Atlanta lineup had Quinn Hoff in it. And it was, I don't remember exactly where it finished, but it was
our Atlanta lineup that did the best for us, which we built live on the show. Or wasn't the show, it was a Saturday night.
The Saturday show.
For anyone that watched that Saturday thing, that was like a 10-minute segment talking about Newman and the specific build, and we literally built the lineup. And I had to, because you built one. Like, all right, I got to build the Busch.
It was a Chastain one, because I was like,
the Chastain. I'm like, I don't like Chastain, but you're going to play the lineup, and if you win and I didn't build the lineup, I'm going to hate myself. So I built it too, and we tie.
Yeah.
Anyone that would have watched that Saturday night thing would have the same lineup and won a handsome prize.
Yeah.
But I say that not to congratulate ourselves, but to say that our best lineup, and I should say our, like we did it together, but I just
came to the same conclusion.
Your lineup on that. It was my idea, and then you changed it, so then I stole the way that you changed it. But the point is, it wasn't our best performing lineup. Did not have a punt in it.
No.
It was actually more balanced with Newman and Chastain, and we also avoided Harvick, which helped out.
I wish I had that up, because I would compare where that thing. Anyway, so like I've been playing punts this whole year, and it hasn't been optimal yet, but I've still been scoring high.
Like you're getting really close. And so we maybe don't need to be perfect. Is what we need to go back to is, hey, like this guy allows you to take more shots at the top, right? Mm-hmm. And so you may not be optimal, but you're going to sail into a very cashy spot. And maybe you will be the winner, because the winner's got to guess perfectly too, and they're in just the same hole. So I really do
you can be within the top probably 3% of lineups with these low plays.
The biggest problem here is that BJ McLeod just being too cute. Why not just play freaking Corey LaJoy and Anthony Alfredo? Is it everyone else is going to play him?
So let's talk about LaJoy, Alfredo, and Haley here. So this whole year, in my mind, I'm like, wow, Alfredo is in a smash spot. Everybody should play him.
He kills every week.
I haven't played him at all. He's come in at like very low ownership.
You've been lucky, man. Though
I've been so lucky this year, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, if everybody keeps getting burned by Alfredo and he keeps coming in at low ownership,
now the chance
it should work. I'm gonna slam Alfredo here. So I have
everyone's gonna slam him. No one's learned their lesson, because they're gonna quickly say, I was freaking Bristol. It was a goofy race.
It was Atlanta, or it was.
I haven't put him in Atlanta. Oh, he got spun out. He still was okay. He didn't burn people in Atlanta. He was fine. I didn't play him that much. You didn't need to play him that much out Atlanta, but he got spun on pit road. At Phoenix, he wrecked. He wasn't really a slam play at Phoenix. I remember we didn't like him that much, and he wrecked pretty early. But then he had good finishes. So, look, 22nd, 24th, 24th, 27th for a rookie in a front row motorsports car. He's not John Hunter Nemechek, but he's not John Hunter Nemechek. To get these finishes from Anthony Alfredo, you like it. You do. You worry about, hey, well, what's he going to do at this track? Is he going to struggle? Well, you hope he just goes on and plays it safe. If he plays it safe, he should be able to pass Bilicki, okay? Bilicki's going to wreck. Ware's going to spin out and wreck himself. He should be able to pass Half. He might have to battle Yaley a little bit. He should be able to get to 30th. At 30th, it's fine. Point per dollar wise, at this range, it's really tough not to play Anthony Alfredo unless you're playing him wrecking. Unless you think BJ McLeod is just going to go out there and finally show people who he is.
Maybe, man. We got to see. So the second to last time he was starting this far back was Homestead.
This has nothing to do with anything, but go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, this is, everybody asks me, why do I like BJ McLeod in certain situations? Why do I like these punt plays? Because they're starting next to last. They're at a price that I can easily build with. And if I'm fitting in dominators, I like the situation. Let's go to LaJoy. It was Jason in the podcast that I wasn't able to record this week, Dirty Air. He was talking about how LaJoy isn't that good, or this car isn't that good. And I wish I was there, because I was going to be like, look, this is a perfect spot for LaJoy. Same thing with BJ McLeod. LaJoy should, or obviously LaJoy is in better equipment than BJ McLeod, but
Yes.
he's starting near the back. LaJoy should be able to work his way into the top 27 over 500 laps, even if he's laps down. I'm fine with that.
Well, if we look at equipment, LaJoy's got maybe the best. No, we're not talking about Almirola. Haley's is probably better, but Haley doesn't have the starting position cushion. But LaJoy is better equipment. LaJoy has experience. LaJoy has track history here. He's done well. Everything lines up for LaJoy. I don't think he's good, but he's the same LaJoy that we've seen. He hasn't changed any. He's not, and maybe you get him in good equipment, we'll see something, but we have a pretty good track history of knowing here and around the circuit what he can do. And it's really, the rules never changed. Anytime he's starting in the back, you just play him. I don't care if it's Pocono or an intermediate track, you play him. And if you get a cheap price tag, you do it. And if that rule is the same for LaJoy, then why isn't it the same for a front row motorsports car? If that was Cole Witt at 5,300 in the back, David Reagan, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, who else got in the front row every once in a while? I think it doesn't matter. Whoever's in the front row motorsports car at that price.
Landon Castle.
Matt Tifft. I'd play Matt Tifft here at 5,300. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. So going back to, like, ownership's always confused me this year because I look at the ownership right when it locks and I'm like, what is going on with everything? So this whole year I thought Anthony Alfredo should be around 40% because my optimizer every week loves Alfredo and I'm like, okay, everybody's going to play Alfredo. I won't play him. Alfredo, yet like this is a situation where I see him, he should be 40% owned. I don't think he will be. And if he's around what he has been, that's around 19% at max, maybe 25 if I'm thinking more people hop on him just due to, lineup generators. But I mean, Alfredo LaJoy are in play here. Like, I think
they're going to be people going to all over him. We don't need to explain that, but maybe a little bit more on McLeod. And so if you think Alfredo and LaJoy are in smash spots and we just kind of expand, price and starting position a little bit further, well, we can't go to Blackie because he's just not been good and the starting position's worse. And then you can say the same thing for Ware. So as we go north of LaJoy and Alfredo, it's like, they're not really going to work. So really the only way that works is going down here. And the fact is, McLeod, I mean, we're kind of right, I guess, in that his car has been one of the better of. It's probably been better than Rick Ware cars. He's got a couple of 30-place finishes. He's been all right. He had in this Homestead race, he had mechanical issues at the very beginning, and that's something we're going to run into. And I would worry about him sometimes in these intermediate track races, but he's definitely capable of a 31st place finish. I don't know if I can say the same for Blackie, Ware, or these other guys, and they don't give me place differential, so. I would probably have less, but I would have some BJ McLeod.
I want to bring up Sterling thing right here. Yes, Anthony Alfredo hasn't been here, but he uses the unrealistic simulator iRacing, and he's been on there all week doing thousands of laps on there. So we got to do the iRacing bump as well.
Yeah, I mean, at least it might help a little bit with like sight lines and getting some of the rhythm and idea of he's got to do something, right? I mean, I don't know, man. That is a worry. Obviously, LaJoy's better than Alfredo. If you're only having to do one punt, it's clearly LaJoy.
So with my three Dom lineups, I'm trying to go out of my way to not use LaJoy and Alfredo because I think everybody will use them. Maybe I'm being too cute, and I should just eat the chalk here.
How popular do you think using both of them is going to be?
First, like if you're hand building, like first run.
Mm-hmm. So if people are using one of them, then either you go with none of them, you go with McLeod, or you go with both of them.
I think Jordan brought that up in his video.
Oh, really?
Because I think that was one of the first ones that the optimizer liked on his, or that he had. I don't remember exactly, but that was the same situation I ran into, to where it seemed like those two together, paired together, seemed like a good play, but I don't know if people are actually going to play them. And I need to.
Oh, well, I probably will go way too heavy on LaJoy and Alfredo, and my race will be over about 50 laps in. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, Wes brings up this. Like, you and I, I assume we're building 3 Dom lineups. And
we didn't even talk about William Byron. We were an hour and a half in, and it's kind of like, oh, no, William Byron. I'm mentioning this is what people are like. These guys are scam artists. Didn't even mention it. Never went play.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we talk about Byron real quick?
No, what was the question?
Oh, so we're building 3 Dom lineups, and so
I might go 4 with a couple of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying that there's going to be 4 guys that lead the most laps. It's just, if I get the feeling that everyone else is going to take 2 shots and then go place differential and chase this perfect lineup, when we've already talked about you don't really need the perfect lineup, and when you only have 2 shots trying to nail the guy that gets the most, you got 50-50 chance. So not really 50-50, but you have less of a chance. If I take 4 swings at nailing the guy that hits 100 points, 100 whole points, that puts me in a pretty good spot. I would rather have 4.
If you're doing 4, you got a good chance of hitting 2 guys who score at least some points.
You get 2 pitches to hit a home run, or you get 4 pitches to hit a home run. I'll take the 4 pitches, please. Like, then you look at the trade-offs. Well, what's the trade-off of, you're going to miss out on some place differential. Oh, that's okay, because I think 100 points. How much place difference are you expecting? And are you that confident in your place differential? Because I'm not really that confident that your place differential is going to be that home run or solid, safe double or single that you think it's going to be.
Go back to the bottom. Look at I want to explain why I'm
this right here.
No, the bottom of the grid.
Yeah.
So this, I guess,
even if LaJoy and Alfredo suck, they're not going to kill you.
And all 3 of these guys could finish horrible. LaJoy, Alfredo, and McLeod. But McLeod salary relief, that 500 from, or not 500. I don't know how to count.
200.
200. Yeah, there you go. The difference between McLeod and LaJoy, Cloud, and Alfredo, like you might need that 500 somewhere else.
What about this? If you play all 3, I don't think you need
No. But 2, those 2, I think that 3 is being way too cute.
It is.
That's crazy.
$3 million on the table. All right. I think we've covered that. Haven't we covered that?
I think we've done that. Do we have any questions?
I do. Is that too chalky? I guess. I don't care.
I don't think it is. Like, I think it's going to be chalky, but everything I thought that's going to be chalky each week hasn't been chalky.
I seem to agree that Almirola is going to be pretty chalky, and you've pretty much talked me into not playing any Almirola. We'll see. I might have some, but I kind of like Bowman and Busch early in the week, but I'm just saying, I don't know if I see the upside. I don't really want to spend that money. I just want to take as many shots up here at the top as possible. I think that might be the best way. It might not be the best way to win the GPP, but it probably will lead to the best day of earning money, especially when we're all guessing who's going to lead laps. We got a good idea, but anyway. All right, I want to talk about Byron as the pivot or as an interesting play. Do you think anyone wants to play Byron?
I think we're all writing him off without making a good argument.
Byron, because he could lead laps, and he doesn't really need to do anything other than lead some laps and stay up front, have the race kind of cycle to him, and he could be a monster at his price with lower ownership. So, and we've seen the track history. We've seen he looked really good in this different package. Probably should have. He couldn't win this race because you just couldn't do anything. You get on somebody's bumper, and the downforce just totally worked against you. He was the fastest car on the track at the end of that race. Now it's a different package, but I see the growth that you want to see, right? We're talking about young Xfinity drivers in the past didn't get any experience at Martinsville, so they come to Martinsville. Chase Elliott, in his first race ever in the Cup Series, was awful at Martinsville. We saw this with Eric Jones still has never acclimated really to this racetrack. Christopher Bell slowly getting it together. William Byron.
Hold on. I just remembered. Also, Newman and Pearce ran the modified race on.
Do you think that helps them though? I'm not knowledgeable of modifieds at all.
I think seeing the new track, because they were talking about the grass being paved and some of the drivers not using that as a turn in.
I guess you could get away with that in the modifieds, couldn't you?
Yeah, and they missed their opportunity. Even I hated that they painted over the grass, but when someone spun out in turn 3-ish, a lot of people hopped the curb and nobody said anything about it. So, but I wanted to bring that up more for Pearce. I think that helps Pearce out. That's almost like practice. I know the car doesn't feel similar, but
didn't you also remember I was citing some dude who did well at or had Bristol modified experience, and you're like, you can't use that data. Remember that? That was last year. There was a guy at Bristol who was a nobody who had modified experience at Bristol. And you're like, the cars drive differently.
Maybe I just
Yes, I
flop
do
back
remember
and forth
that.
each
Oh,
year.
maybe.
It sounds like something
I
I'd
can
say.
pull that guy out. The Xfinity race last year, Bristol in the spring, there was like a value guy. And one of the things I cited was like, well, yeah, it's a modified race here. And you're like, you can't do that.
Yeah, but this is a flat track. Like I would use the New Hampshire data, not the
Yeah.
Bristol data.
And I mean, if you look at Preece, he's been good at these flat track-ish in his equipment, so that's fine. We are clearly way too far into this. But yeah, Byron's just kind of a pivot for me. I'm going to try to work him into some.
I'll do that. Let's see. Last questions here. I'm actually waiting. Probably, if you look at current form and track history, they do kind of line up here. For me, it'd be more current form the last year of the flat tracks, but it kind of leads you down the same path.
Martins was more of a track history place for me. But if we went back last week at Atlanta, I would be closer to even with, because Atlanta's still a unique track. I look at track history there, but also with current form. If we went to Las Vegas, that would have been a place where I look more at current form than I do track history. So it just changes. But for Martinsville, you want to look at the sliding scale. I'm going to go more track history, especially when we got these blind setups. And so did you set up well at Martinsville in the past? All right, well, that means your notebook's going to be pretty good. And if you missed it last time, you've got a lot of room or got a lot of ground to make up. And the people that already guessed it, their notebook's just going to get better. Mm-hmm. So that's whereas at intermediate tracks, I don't think there's that much of a difference because they have so many notes from so many different tracks that I don't see that being a big deal.
Ryan brought up a point because he has the answer in Sterling. So place differential works in a race that one guy just runs away with it. That's why in 2019 you saw those types of lineups. But I don't see one or even two guys really run away with it.
I've got a PowerPoint. I was going to make a video out of this.
And I was say it here. This is your chance.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up on another screen. All right.
Thank you for everybody joining us today on your Saturday. We do appreciate it.
My wife is going to be very mad at me for doing a 2-hour show on a Saturday, but that's all right. I did a lot of positive work this week, so I can get away with it. All right, let me pull this up. All right, is it on? What is the name of that?
Tell me when you get it up, and I'll put your screen back on.
Okay. Turn off now. No. Let me see. Did I do it here?
Here, I need to get the banners rolling. Support me on Patreon. Support him through PayPal or Patreon. Me, PayPal, whatever you want to do. If you want to support us. If not, I understand.
Let me see. Do I even have this thing? I know I got it here somewhere. I'm just wondering if I did it in another location on another computer. It's got to be on this computer. Hold on. Well, folks, I think I might tease something that may have been really useful to some people. All right, I'm not going to be able to find it. You can go back to my screen now.
All right. What happened?
So what I'm going to say is that I think this is what Ryan was saying. This like with when you have fewer laps. I mean, it's just like you got three categories. You got finishing position, you got place differential, you got hog points, and they differ in how important they are. When you have fewer laps, that it's not that there's more place differential available. It's just there's fewer hog points available. So the place differential, finishing position guys become more valuable. We have races that have a lot of laps. So yeah, there's still this place differential and finishing position, which doesn't really change. But now all of a sudden we've got tons of hog points. And so the people that can score these giant points become more valuable. I've got a visual that kind of shows it in a pie chart and shows you the difference. So why, like when you get to Bristol and Martinsville with the increase in laps, you've really got to spend your plays targeting these guys, and the place differential guys become less valuable. Unlike at Atlanta, where, not Atlanta because there's still 300 some lap, but like at Las Vegas or Pocono, especially Pocono is all about place differential. Daytona is all place differential, not necessarily because of restrictor plate racing, but because there's only two ways to score really at Daytona. It's finishing position and place differential. So you've got to pick people that can score that way. It's kind of like basketball, right? You got guys that can score, guys that can rebound, guys that can get steals and assists. I don't know, whatever. It's too long. I'm done.
All right. All right, we're gonna.
I went to the pit stop page on the site. It's on there, man. Just click on 2020, 2021. Click on spreadsheets. You'll see it. It's in 2021 spreadsheets.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna call it there because I think we've covered everything we needed to, guys. So thank you for.
That's all right. Yeah. You're gonna want to like relink this thing because when people want to watch, like for whatever reason, the past live streams are hard to find. You kind of got to dig. I don't know if there's a way on your end that you can repost it, but like if someone just goes to your YouTube page, it's gonna show your last like recorded videos and live streams. You kind of got like when people were complaining they couldn't find it yesterday. It's there. It's just that for whatever reason, YouTube doesn't post the live streams in a doesn't bump them to the top. So
yeah, it takes a few. I don't
think you might want to like just put a link up, pin it on or whatever.
I'll figure it out. All right, we're gonna end this, but I'll work on that. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it.